Okay, so you got injured in class, you're a little mad. What do you do next? Who's at fault? What do we do? Guys, my name is Bill Jones. I'm the head instructor of top level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. We are a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu school. I am a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer, and you are watching Professor's Corner. Listen, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Someone gets injured. Whose fault is it? Is it the fault of the person who did the injuring? Is it the fault of the person who didn't tap? What do you think? All right, so earlier this week I got a call from a member who said that they got injured in class, and quite honestly, it doesn't happen a whole lot. We try to run classes in such a way that doesn't happen too much. We have competition classes for the people who want to, kind of go real hard, and most regular classes, that kind of intensity isn't required. So. It's a rare thing that someone does get injured with any kind of severity, but I mean, it's a contact sport, so it does happen from time to time. Now, I talked to that person, and they were really upset. They were really mad and said that, the person put on a triangle choke and it hurt their jaw, and, they were very upset about it, and their exact words were, "Man, I just wanted to come and punch that guy right in the face because he put on a triangle choke too hard, and it clearly wasn't working, and he didn't let go." And so, the first thing I want to say is I respect the fact that he's upset, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I understand where he's coming from. I've been injured a few times from someone rolling harder than I was. Some people don't necessarily feel the ramp up. They don't necessarily feel it in time to start ramping up with the other person. Or you feel like you're flow rolling, and then, out of nowhere, the other person explodes because they're getting frustrated with the flow roll, and they explode, and you're not ready for it. So I've been injured in that way, and I understand what that's like. So I get it. From this side, I think there's some assumptions, though. So one thing I like to say is that I'm really good at jiu-jitsu. I'm really bad at reading minds. So I think anytime someone says, obviously, or you should have known that, and goes on, you're making a poor assumption. Like if I put a triangle choke on someone, I've got big legs. It's sometimes hard for me to know if someone's being smothered, choked, or squeezed. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter that much to me, because if it's uncomfortable to the degree that it's going to injure you or choke you unconscious or smother you, you should be tapping. And if you're going to be obstinate and not tap to that, then I think that in some ways you get kind of what happens. With that said, I'm the kind of person that when I have a submission on someone and they're not letting go, or they're not tapping and I feel like they should be, I'll just let go. Because I don't want to hurt anybody. But I'm a business owner too, right? Like, so if I hurt somebody, it's a little different than when someone else gets hurt just as an accident in class. It's different in so much as, I think there's a little more onus on me not to injure people during class. Because when I do, I feel like, I'm held at a higher standard. I'm a second-degree black belt, and I can definitely feel the differences here. I can usually feel, man, this guy's not giving up. It's probably the choke isn't on. But when you're blue belts are very much beginners. I hate to say that to any of you blue belts out there, but I understand some of you are very good. And I've seen world-class blue belts and world-class blue belts, and you guys are phenomenal at jiu-jitsu. But in a lot of ways, still beginners. You're phenomenal at rolling. You understand sport. For the world-class guys, you understand sport really well. You understand the rule sets really well. But at the same time, you're limited, and your experience is limited in feeling, right? Like you don't think ahead like that. So, who do I think is at fault for something like this? Well, I think it's 50-50. I feel like any injury and anything that happens in jiu-jitsu is always 50-50. And what I mean by that is I've seen people get up and they're like mad, like literally, and this didn't happen in my academy, it happened when I was coming up, but this guy gets tapped and he pulls his mouthpiece out of his mouth and throws it across the room. And I mean, like, he was so mad, and he's like, I didn't do this right, and I didn't do that right, and I didn't do this right. And the guy looks at him, who beat him, and he goes, hey man, 50% of that's on me, right? Like, it wasn't all you making mistakes, it's me setting you up. You know, you shouldn't be so angry. You just got to figure out what to do to not get set up. So like, whether it's winning or losing or getting injured or anything, it's always 50-50. It's always give or take, because someone is setting you up for these moves. So that's a little lesson there to help you understand how to cope with getting beat. But yeah, back to the injury. So my understanding is the gentleman had the other one in a triangle choke position, and it was mainly just squeezing his head. And the young man who was holding I'll say the squeeze, the compression, kept trying to adjust angle and squeeze harder and squeeze harder and squeeze harder, and eventually, I guess there was a pop in the jaw, and that's what made everybody let go, and made the tap finally happen. So do I think the young man should have let go of the choke? Triangle choke's a weird thing. Legs are not sensitive in the way that hands are. So if I have a cross choke on somebody, and I'm applying this, and I can feel that it's like across their jaw or on their eyes, you know what I mean? People tuck and like you're like on their face. I've heard Helson Gracie say he doesn't care why someone taps. He doesn't care. Break their face, doesn't matter. They'll tap. A tap's a tap. And so I understand what he's saying, but if I feel like these are made for high levels of sensitivity, and if I feel that it's not right, I'll let go, and I'll go for something else. But legs aren't built like that. Legs are built for gross motor action and squeezing and pushing. And so you don't have the same sensitivity. It's harder to feel if you're in on the choke or not. And some people are tough to choke. Sometimes you feel like, man, if I just squeeze a little more, maybe they'll choke. So I think there's a little bit of that in it as well. So do I think he should have let go? I didn't see it. I don't know. From the way it sounds, probably should have moved on. But at the same time, do I think that the person should have tapped? Yeah, probably. Like, you feel yourself getting squeezed. You can feel this person's not going to let go. Tap. Just tap and get out. And then the way you do that and save face, if you feel like you need to save face, is you tap. And you say, man, that was on tight, but it was just squeezing my head. Let's, and then put yourself right back in it and say, let's get the angle right this time. Adjust your angle. Make sure you get it right and feel that. Boom. Okay, now you got it. You put your arm in there. Okay, yeah, you're just squeezing me now. Oh yeah, now you got it. And you adjust it, get it right together, and be training partners. And I think this comes with the opponent mentality. Guys, when you're in your academy or your school or your gym or whatever you call it, you're not with opponents. You're with training partners. Even when you're rolling hard, they're still training partners. And that is a mutual thing. You both have to be on the same page. Now, so I think the one guy should have tapped earlier, and I think the other one probably should have let go. So I think they both get 50% of that injury. So it's just something that happens in Jiu-Jitsu. And do I think that anybody is justified getting angry? I'm not going to tell anybody that you can't have emotions. Everybody gets angry about something. And sometimes we get angry about dumb stuff. Sometimes we get angry about things that we shouldn't get angry about. So do I think you should get angry? I get it. I get why you would get angry, especially initially. But I feel like over time, you should not. With that said, I feel like there's a time and place for high intensity training, and regular classes are not that place. So I know that a lot of my own students listen to this, and thank you for doing that. But if you're one of my students and you listen to this, keep that high intensity training in the competition classes. Use the regular classes and the regular training as time to drill moves and flow and to and when I say drill moves, I mean you can be rolling. You're just trying to roll situationally. Like, get yourself into, let's say you're working on the triangle choke, get yourself into position to set it up. Boom. Get your legs there, bang, done. Get your, let go, move on. Boom, get your legs there, done, move on. And you don't need to tap everybody. That's you can do that in the competition class. All right, guys, so up next, what we have is the 5 tiny details, and I'm going to be talking about the north-south choke. So stay tuned for that. And I want to hear your comments below. What do you think about this? Who's at fault in this kind of situation? It happens all the time. People get mad. Should they get mad? I mean, we all know what we're doing. It's not ballet, right? But there's definitely a time and a place for high-intensity rolling as well. So Let me know what you think. I don't think it's an easy or uncomplicated situation. Thanks for watching. Keep watching for 5 Denny details. Have a great one. Alright guys, so here we go. We're going to do the 5 tips on the north-south choke that I think will help improve your north-south choke. So I've got Phil with me. Go ahead and lay down, sir. First mistake that I see a lot of times, and I know it can work, it's not about what can and can't work, it's about what's most efficient, right? So a big thing that I see a lot of times is people aren't killing this arm that's inside the hip, and then they're trying to go for the choke, and like you're trying to go for it at the wrong time. You're not in the right position to do it. So the first thing is to make sure that this arm is killed down, ideally. I know it can be done with it up, but let's be honest, it's easier if it's not in the way. So some tips on that are that I'm going to extend my leg and drop my hip toward the fingers so that he's prompted to bring his arm out. Just make sure that when you do it, you're cognizant of your base because you don't want to get rolled over if he hips in. So I just extend the leg, turn the hip, and he'll probably bring his arm out toward the bottom. If he doesn't, that's okay. There's other stuff you can do. All right, so that's thing number 1. His arm is down, whether it's around you here or whatever. Not worried about that at this point. The second thing is face pressure with your ribs. All right, a lot of times I'll see people put the arm in and the guy's looking this way toward you. He's going to get out easily if you do that. So I need my ribs to put face pressure to keep him looking up or slightly away from me as I come in. All right, the third point is that I don't want to stay up high. The common defense here is for him to take this hand, start pushing on my chin, make me look this way, and now he can look into me, turn, boom, and now he can start escaping. So if I allow that, if I stay up high with my head, it's easier for him to defend than if I stay low. And I'm just giving you, I know that you can do it. Again, a lot of these things are things, oh, I can make it work like that. Excellent, great, I'm glad you did. I'm just saying that if we want to make it better and more efficient, we're going to get our head down low. And here's how we do that. Your best view is probably going to be on this side, though. So we've got his arm down. I came in, I get my bicep to touch the side of his neck. That's number 4, I think. My bicep touches the side of his neck. I've got him pinned with my ribs. And as I come in to apply, look, I don't even have this arm engaged. If I stay up here, he can push my face. So I don't do that. I put his hand to his side, and I bring my head to the ground. My palm is toward my chest. I'll show you that in a second. And the last tip, number 5, is that I go backwards. Right here. I keep my head down, I go backwards. I can even bring this other hand in and push this way to try to get my head back behind his shoulder. A lot of times I see people just kind of like stay right there and just squeeze. It's not about the squeeze, it's about pressure in the proper directions. So, tip 1, kill the arm down. Boom, it goes down, good. Tip 2, I kind of showed him in a different order, but tip 2 was keep the ribs on his face. Tip 3, arm goes in until my bicep touches his neck. Tip 4, get your head down. And tip 5, scoot back. See how I have this hand in here to help me? And I just keep scooting back. Once you have those things, you don't need to be in here squeezing and pressing and doing anything like that. And your bonus tip, without you there, my friend, is that I put my hand palm toward me if I'm going to, especially because I'm using no grip on this. And the reason for that is, if my hand's here, if you see this distance, as I rotate it, that hand's just able to come closer. We're just closing off the space. So guys, that's 5 tips to make your head, your north-south choke better. Thanks.